Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1. Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be given, I think, by T.C. Webster. Precinct. There's T.C. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Eternal and everlasting Father, we come to you this morning when even prayers under scrutiny. But Lord, we come to you fully committed to continually intercede in your behalf for this court and various others throughout this nation. Lord, we thank you for a court that's committed to providing avenues and making provisions for the affluent as well as the destitute. Not waiting for catastrophic situations to happen, Lord, but having an ongoing commitment. We thank you for their pulse, and we thank you for them being on one accord in you. In Jesus' name, we ask that it continuously prevail. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, T.C.
Thank you.
Thank you, TC.
Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have two announcements for the Court this morning. The first one is under the Administrator section, item 8A4. This is a lease agreement between Tarrant County and Colonial Savings. We will be considering that action after close today. And finally, under Purchasing, item 8G5. This is the EOS International contract. We're going to ask that we hold that for a week. Thank you.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of April the 13th.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have several proclamations and resolutions. First, we're going to recognize our 2010 Public Health Poster Contest winners. And I'm going to call on Vanessa Joseph, the PIO for Public Health, to introduce our winner. Please come down. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This morning we're here to recognize the 2010 Public Health Week Poster Contest winners. The theme of this year's contest is A Healthier America, one community at a time. All Tarrant County 1st through 8th grade students are invited to participate in the contest, which is in its 7th year. The winners each receive a card with their artwork, certificate with their artwork, they receive coloring pages with their artwork, and they also receive a $50 savings bond. Now, new this year, partly based on our theme, from one of our programs, each student is also going to receive this Livermore Colorful Life bag. In this bag, there's a recipe book, healthy recipes, there's a cutting board, and there's also a bookmark. Now, they can go to our website every month to look for healthy recipes, and we're going to give that to them today as well. As our winners come up, I'd like to ask the parents and teachers who are here and the other family members who are here with the students today to please stand. Okay. Now that our winners are in place, we're going to take a closer look at their artwork. Our first grade winner, Giselle Hernandez at D. McCrae Elementary in Fort Worth. The teacher, Luis Hernandez. He has 2 students here today. Giselle's work features a bright, sunny day with 2 happy children telling us to eat healthy fruit. Our second grade winner, Morgan Lewis from A.M. Dalton Elementary in Mansfield. Jennifer Allen is the teacher. Morgan has a lot of good messages in her artwork. She says eating healthier is cool. And one of the characters says, let's work out, and there are also references to healthy exercising. Our third grade winner, Lauren Mellett from Eagle Mountain Elementary in Fort Worth. Shannon Jackson is the teacher, and there are 3 winners from that school today. Lauren's artwork incorporates the theme and shows a community scene with children outside playing while the superheroes Super Carrot and Super Apple fly over.
Clever.
Our 4th grade winner, Lauren Jackson from Remington Point Elementary in Fort Worth. Shannon Jackson is the teacher. Lauren is one of our returning winners. Welcome back. This year, her work consists of a strong-looking community person standing on buildings that are surrounded by healthy foods and sports items. Our 5th grade winner, Guadalupe Gonzalez, D. McCrae Elementary. Luis Fernandez is the teacher. Guadalupe's work shows healthy American boys. One is on the track and another is exercise, and one other one is munching on a carrot.
With braces on his teeth.
Our 6th grade winner, Journée Goods from Dunbar 6th Grade Center in Fort Worth. Walford Jones is the teacher. Journée's work proclaims a healthy world with health messages that spread throughout, like eating healthy fruits and vegetables, and there are children doing exercises. Our 7th grade winner this morning, Laylise Levia from J.P. Elder Middle School in Fort Worth. Leanne Edwards is the teacher. Her artwork has a very simple message, a healthier America. Her health messages include not just eating healthy, but washing your hands and avoiding fatty foods. But the one we like to hear most is get vaccinated. Our last winner this morning, our 8th grade student, Kayla Yant from Lake Country Christian School in Fort Worth. Kayla's artwork shows a girl on a skateboard skating through a course that, as the message reads, leads to a healthier America. Now, if you'll note, the girl that's on the skateboard is wearing a helmet, knee pads, and she's exercising safely. Congratulations to our winners this morning. Thank you all for coming. Okay, come on guys, let's go this way.
Y'all up here in front of us.
You can ask the parents if they want to take, the parents want to take pictures. You've got a bunch of parents behind you, too. This is a pretty good shot.
I'll just keep smiling for a long time. I want to get closer. Y'all can come up closer. We're not going to bite you.
Go ahead.
just a little bit there. You're blocking your face.
Can't see your picture now. Yes.
As long as they keep flashing, y'all keep smiling.
Come on, Al.
We got a couple
And one more. And one more. Did you get it? Great.
Y'all need to stand up here while your eyes go back to normal. Go. Go that direction. There you go.
Good job.
Thank y'all. Great job. Great job.
Good job.
Oh.
That's pretty sad when four of them taller than I am.
Put the tall ones down on your end.
Your Honor,
Thank y'all very much. If we could get a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file.
Pickett.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have a couple of recognitions and certificates of appreciation. First, I would like to, it's for ratification only, move the approval of certificate of appreciation to be delivered later on this week.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And then also, I'd like to move the approval of a resolution of appreciation for Rita Dickerson.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson, I believe you have a resolution.
I actually
A
have
proclamation?
two proclamations and a resolution. The first one is National Osteopathic Medicine Week. If you would please read that into the record.
You bet. Whereas osteopathic physicians, or DOs, take into account all facets of a person's state of health and offer a unique approach to modern medical treatment, particularly preventative medicine, and whereas osteopathic medicine's comprehensive medical approach includes not only prescriptions, medicine, surgery, and other traditional measures, but also osteopathic manipulative treatment, and whereas since approximately 100 million patient visits are handled by DOs per year, increasing public awareness of osteopathic medicine and DOs in the communities across the country is a common goal of the osteopathic medical profession. And whereas osteopathic medicine traditionally has focused on primary care and has a tremendous impact in many rural communities by making patient care more accessible and filling critical physician shortages, and whereas National Osteopathic Medicine Week is being observed in order to coincide with the American Osteopathic Association's birthday on April 19, 2010, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim April 18th through 24th, 2010 as National Osteopathic Medicine Week at the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth and throughout Tarrant County. And witness whereof we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 20th day of April, 2010.
Move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm not sure how many we have here, but I believe Dr. Don Pesca, DO, MED, is here to receive this, so if you would meet me at the podium.
Thank you, Commissioners. Let me express my appreciation not only on behalf of the Health Science Center, but on behalf of osteopathic physicians throughout Tarrant County and, of course, within the state of Texas. This is especially important to us this year as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine in Tarrant County, and certainly want to express my appreciation to all of you and the county for giving us the opportunity of providing health care to its citizens, as well as reaping education from the county health facilities and throughout the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Notice Dennis Shingleton is also with them. Dennis, thank you for being here.
Next, a resolution regarding Texas AgriLife Extension volunteers.
And if you would read that into the record, please.
Whereas volunteering of one's time and resources is an essential part of the spirit, essence, and tradition of our country, and is increasingly recognized as a key partner of government, education, and industry in doing the work of our nation. And whereas it is ever more in evidence that our nation's greatest resource is its people, who possess many skills and talents which they generously and enthusiastically apply to a variety of community tasks. And whereas volunteers are an integral part in the delivery of research-based information and generously give of themselves, and whereas one such volunteer is Kenneth King, who has assisted as a volunteer in 4-H and 4-H leader, served on the board of Tarrant County Junior Livestock Association, and is currently chair of the Equine and Livestock Education Committee, which sponsors the Horse-a-Rama, Horses to School, and 4-H Horse Project. And whereas the people of Tarrant County benefit from the deeds of these selfless and dedicated individuals, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby honor and thank and dedicate the dedicated volunteers of Texas AgriLife Extension, who give so freely of their valuable time, energy, and abilities to serve the people of Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 20th day of April, 2010.
Move for its approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And if Kenneth King, chairman of the Equine and Livestock Education Committee, will meet me at the podium, I'll present the plaque. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners Court. On behalf of all volunteers for AgriLife Extension Service, which would be Master Gardeners, Health, Wellness, and something dear to my heart, 4-H activities, we thank you for this recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have one more proclamation, Judge. Walk-in school bus project, inception day, if you would read that into the record.
Whereas hundreds of children could be saved each year if communities take steps to make pedestrian safety a priority, and whereas a lack of physical activity play a leading role in the raising rates of obesity, diabetes, and other health problems among children, and being able to walk or bicycle to school offers an opportunity to build activity into daily routine. And whereas driving students to school by private vehicle contributes to traffic congestion and air pollution, and whereas an important role for parents and caregivers is to teach children about pedestrian safety, become aware of the difficulties and dangers that children face on their trip to school each day, and understand the health and environmental risks related to physical inactivity and air pollution. And whereas the community leaders and parents can determine the walkability of their communities by using a walkability checklist and walking with their children on walking on Wednesday days. And whereas community members and leaders should make a plan to make immediate changes to enable children to safely walk and bicycle in our communities, and develop a list of suggestions for improvements that can be done over time. And whereas children, parents, and community leaders around the world are joining together to walk to school and evaluate walking and bicycling conditions in their communities, now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County hereby proclaims April 20th, 2010, Walking School Bus Project Inception Day in Tarrant County, and encourages everyone to consider the safety and health of children today and every day as Tarrant County children participate in WOW Days. In witness whereof, we have heretofore set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 20th day of April, 2010.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I believe Monica Santiago, Texas AgriLife Urban Development Program Leader, and Carla Costa, Principal, South High Mount Elementary School, will be here. If you will meet me at the podium, please.
We can say after all those whereases, they better be here. TV show.
Hi, good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the Commissioners Court for your consistent and constant support. I would like to introduce Ms. Carla Casilla, which is the principal of South Highmount Elementary School, which is part of Fort Worth ISD and had the courage to try to become part of this pilot project, which is the first in the county. So we will be walking on WOW Days. We have over 100 participants, including children and adults. And we did do walkability surveys to see how many continuous sidewalks existed to be able to have a route to school. So in miles and miles of area that's covered and served by this elementary school, we came up with approximately only about 3.5 miles that's walkable and can get these children to the school. So a lot of times these children, although they want to be physically active, don't have the development around their communities to be able to do so. So I would like to introduce Ms. Casilla, if she would.
I just want to thank Monica for all of the work. We're basically just lending us our children, and I know it's going to be a wonderful project. And we're very happy to be the pilot school, and we hope that we can continue on in future years. So thank you.
Thank you very much for
I have a question for Ms. Casilla. You knew you weren't going to get away.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the barriers to these kids being able to walk to school? I assume it's not all just missing sidewalks.
It's there are, I guess some areas have sidewalks, but there are some areas that are not. We do have Clover, which is a really big,
Busy street.
busy street that does not have sidewalks. And then,
We had some focus groups with some parents. They had some issues related to the safety of the community. That's why I was very pleased to see that the neighborhood police officers and their sergeant were very willing to help and participate in making sure that the walk is safe. But there were many sidewalks, but some of them would go straight into a wall or straight into a bush, or there would be one sidewalk on one street and then no sidewalk on the next 2 or 3 streets, and those kind of issues, along with just the regular everyday occurrences like folks with their cars on the sidewalk instead of inside their driveway, that just make it a little bit more unsafe for the children to make it over to school.
So there's going to be a concerted effort under this program to address some of those issues?
yes, sir. And I know, especially in our block, we don't have ramps or sidewalks. So even with the parents that do currently walk, if they have kids and, strollers, struggle to get through, or the kids that ride their bicycles, it's hard for them to get through certain areas. No, but we're going to do this. We're going to see how it is, and we appreciate all of Monica's hard work. Thank you.
You might look at some of the community, some of the civic organizations, because sometimes they will help with, maybe with the curb cuts or with some of those kind of things, get the city to work with you on that and do some things. So maybe we can help a little bit more in that area.
Thank you.
Please let us know how we can participate. There are not a whole lot of things that the county can do in terms of sidewalks or curb cuts or any of that in the city of Fort Worth. but we can advocate.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
We already are, because one of them is over there shaking his
And
head.
this school serves both 1 and 4.
Yes, it does.
1 and 4.
My very first community involvement had to do with the inability for children to walk to school. And we did get assistance in getting temporary asphalt sidewalks. So you might be able to get at least that kind of assistance in areas that could. We also had to contend with 6-foot bar ditches, and so we were able to draw some attention to those kinds of things. And we did get community help to build temporary bridges over some of the bar ditch areas, but it was really a matter of community education to get the assistance. And it took us the better part of a year, well, actually almost 2 years, before we had safe routes for our children to walk to an elementary school. So hang in there.
I want to say that Carla Garcia is someone I've known since she was a baby teacher, and now she's grown into one of the finest principals in the Fort Worth ISD.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Carla.
See you.
Thank you. Next, you have before you the consent agenda, accepting item 8G5.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item 8G5. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, we have 3 items that we'd like to bring to you this morning. The first concerns a reply and a response from our office and other offices as it relates to the vehicle emissions reduction projects. Just a little background, you might remember that in February of this year we brought to you a presentation dealing with funding that we were receiving from the Council of Governments and from the state as it relates to the LIRAP program. And those funds that were available were approximately $700,000, about $690,000 for a 2-year period, both years that same amount of money. You had asked that we get with the constable's offices, the sheriff's department, the district attorney's office, and our office, and talk about potential strategies on how we might go forward in implementing some of these, or utilizing those revenues and implementing some programs. We did meet. We met, and we had full participation from all of those entities. It was a very good meeting, and then there were subsequent meetings after that dealt with more definitive descriptions and development of programs. Our goal today is to bring back to you four programs that we think that are important, that to fall within the parameters of that funding, and talk to you a little bit about those programs, and then get direction from the court as if you believe that these are the programs you want to proceed with. You might remember that the entire goal of the utilization of this money is to improve air quality, and through inspections or proper inspections of vehicles that are in our county. And there were various impediments to that, and the people simply may not get their vehicles inspected. Some people may get their vehicles inspected, but they don't pass, and the places that do the inspections would actually issue fraudulent inspection stickers, or actually individuals not even attempting that, but simply going out and buying fraudulent inspection stickers. You might also remember that in February we had a lieutenant from the constable's office in Dallas who has a very good program countywide in Dallas, and he spoke to you about the various things that they do. After these discussions and discussions with Dallas County and our enforcement people, there was a consensus as to how we should move forward. And those 4 are listed in your court communication, and I'll just very briefly go over them. The first one is mailings to individuals with expired certificates as identified through state and COG databases. We do have the ability to look at people in this county that through a database to determine if they have a vehicle that is not inspected or currently inspected, to send out simply a notification through the mail and to advise them that their vehicle needs to be inspected. That's something that we would look to the Council of Governments doing. We might fund a portion of that rather than the county itself becoming involved with those type of mailings. The second one is to use grant money for overtime pay for on-road enforcement of expired, counterfeit, and fraudulent inspection certificates by existing Tarrant County law enforcement personnel. At first, we were going to focus that mainly on the constables' offices. But this is an effort that we have a full traffic enforcement program in the Sheriff's Department, and these monies are available to pay overtime for those particular activities. The third one, which is one that we would initially begin here, but hopefully operate in conjunction with Dallas County and surrounding counties, is an undercover enforcement targeting inspection stations that issue these fraudulent certifications. That would be conducted by a task force within the Sheriff's Department, which would consist of at least 3 grant-funded personnel. There's also equipment that would be needed to do that. Dallas County was very quick to offer some technical assistance, technical advice on how to set these things up. And then finally, through the District Attorney's Office, the prosecution of offenders of both misdemeanor and felony levels. I will tell you that the group as a whole thought that these were a pretty good way of addressing those issues, that the funding for this would be solely out of grant funds. We know we have 2 years' worth of grant funds, and hopefully the legislature will continue those fundings. There's not been any type of guarantees that once that grant funding goes away that we would continue the program. However, the revenues that are used by the state to do that are the monies that you and I pay when we get our vehicles inspected, that extra amount that we pay compared to counties that are not in non-attainment areas. So this is a report that you asked that we bring back to you. We ask for your direction. If you believe that this is the proper way, then one of the things we're also going to do is create an advisory committee that sits over this process, and we will bring back proposed memberships to you on that advisory committee.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. The one question I have, GK, again on number 2, how are you anticipating that that's going to work? Is this going to be a combination of constables as well as the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, and that's some direction we need to think about, because our constables are not traditionally involved in traffic enforcement, and we talked about the possibility, at least not on a day-to-day basis, but through overtime, having those individuals work this type of enforcement, so it wouldn't diminish their efforts in the serving of the various papers and warrants. We did get a clarification from the COG that these monies could be used for that type of overtime.
Okay. So it's really going to be an involvement of both the Sheriff's Department and the constables in that
Yes.
area.
And there was broad participation across county departments in crafting this set of recommendations.
Yes, we invited all the constables' offices, the Sheriff's Department, the District Attorney's Office, our office, Council of Governments was there, and the enforcement piece was actually developed by the Sheriff's Department and the constables on this.
And everybody's on board.
Last night on one of the news channels, I think I saw something about, again, what Dallas was doing in this area and maybe some new technology. And it almost looked as though it was something where a camera reads the license plate, it goes into a system, and the system immediately then transmits back whether or not that particular license or that particular vehicle has an expired inspection and or any other outstanding tickets or warrants. Is that something that we're familiar with, or is that something that we've seen?
It's not something that I have seen. Maybe our enforcement officials might.
We can just check in. We could probably just check into that and see.
You know that as you all might, as the court might remember, when we brought this to you in February, one of the things that COG has done, and they're working through the state, is that they've developed a database that we can query, and we want to make sure that we can query that database through the MDCs, the mobile data computers that are in our units, so that it would be almost like an automatic check.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Your Honor, before we go to item 2, if I could go to item 3 real quick. Ms. McMillan is going to present item 2, but if I can go to item 3. On item 3, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve the First Amendment to the lease agreement between the hospital district and UNT Health Science Center to add additional coder space, which is located on the 3rd floor of the JPS network, located at 1500 South Main Street.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, if we could now go to item 2. Ms. McMillan is here to address the Court at this time.
Judge, Commissioners, today we're here to seek final approval of participation in the City of Arlington Tax Increment Financing Reinvestment Zone Number 6, the Viridian TERS. You may recall, this TERS was established back in December of 2007 to encourage the redevelopment of the historic Lake of Birds Fort area off of Highway 157. This is an area that has been a very big challenge to developers for many decades. Over the time span from December of 2007 till the end of October, I believe, of 2009, there were some changes made to the plan, and finally the TIF board approved those changes to the scope of the project in late 2009. And the City of Arlington came back to the Commissioners Court and presented the final project plan. As you may recall, an estimated $425 million in public infrastructure is expected to be made within this zone. $100 million of this development will be paid for by the developer. Over $30 million will be paid for through a public improvement district. And then the actual TIF district will fund approximately $295 million of improvements. Now, of that $295 million, about $100 million of that is actually going to be educational facilities that is to be funded strictly from the Hearst Euless Bedford ISD's increment that they are putting into the TIF to fund these educational facilities. So the remaining improvements in the TIF will be approximately $195 million. These public investments, these public infrastructure investments are expected to facilitate almost $1.7 billion of new investment in the zone, which include new residential and commercial development. So today, we're asking the Commissioners to consider 2 items. 1, the approval of the attached resolution and participation agreement that provides for the county's participation in the Arlington Tax Increment Financing Reinvestment Zone Number 6 through the payment of up to 75% of our incremental tax revenues within the zone as set forth in our agreement, and 2, to approve a recommendation to the Tarrant County Hospital District Board of Managers that the hospital district also approve participation in this TIF zone through the payment into the tax increment zone of up to 50% of their incremental tax revenues within the zone.
I have met with the City of Arlington on a number of occasions discussing this project, also with the mayor and some city council members. This is a big deal for Arlington. It's a big deal, the size of it, and the best part of it is they've got I believe a very, very capable, well-financed developer that is working on this, the Huffines group, and this is a great opportunity for that area, and will bring well over $1 billion in taxable value to the county. I think it's an opportunity that we need to certainly continue the process and move forward. So I would move approval.
I will second. I think this is an appropriate use of the TIF mechanism. As I understand the program, it was set up to encourage development of inner city distressed properties, and also those properties that are hard to develop and would not develop but for public participation. This project has a history that would indicate that it certainly falls into that second category. So
I think it's an opportunity to take little or no value and create a tremendous value for Tarrant County.
That piece of property has been attempted since the late 70s, so it's pretty well proven that
We had at
this,
least 2 developers go belly up on that, I think, into that deal. And I remember when it even looked like it was going to rain, that whole area down in there flooded. That golf course spent more time, the first couple of years it was open, it spent more time underwater than it did above.
Well, they've got the right people
Yeah.
together on this.
I appreciate all of you for finishing my comments for me.
Well, you know,
we can share.
I think, you know, we all get a chance to say a little bit on this deal. Do you have any closing comments you'd like to make?
No, I'm done. Y'all did good.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And that would be on both of those items. I guess it's
Yes.
all in one item, but
Yes,
it
it
was.
is. That's correct.
Thank you. Ms. Tidwell. Good morning.
This morning, we're asking the court to receive and file the Tarrant County financial statements for the 5 months ended February 28, 2010.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And before you get away, last week, I know, and I'm not sure which area it came up under. It may have come up under Steve's, but we're talking about still this ability to sign electronically.
Yes. Passwords for...
Yeah, can I get a password for just my signature on letting loose of money?
That would be beyond my expertise. That's a technical question.
Okay. Because I think you're sending out statements asking folks to okay that,
We're
or,
going live on next Monday, yes, sir. Plan.
so you're going to have an answer to me by next Monday? Okay. Thank you. I'm still a little nervous about that.
Don't sign anything.
Ms. Glenn?
I'm here.
I figured if I let you get up here, then it would be hard for them to do that before you got up here.
That's right.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Was that my item or the
That was your
previous
first item.
I thought I got up here quick enough.
Snooze, you lose around
I
here.
guess so. Item number 2, we're asking the court to approve out-of-class pay extension for juvenile services. The court has seen this request before. We have a juvenile probation officer who continues to fill in for a caseworker supervisor who's assigned to the JCMS project. Juvenile Services is requesting an extension through July of this year.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for our RFP number 2010-049, starting a contract for our van conversions for our prisoner transport vans and other miscellaneous vehicle alterations. A recommendation will be toward a per-enterprise basis, selecting as our primary vendor One Stop Bus Stop Incorporated, their secondary vendor Elite Manufacturing.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? You don't want to ask your question? Are you going to have safety belts in these things?
No.
That's going to be a fleet.
Seatbelts.
That's
Yes, seatbelts are going into these vans.
Regardless of what size they are.
Well, the sheriff's department has already indicated that on the transport vans, that seatbelts are going in the back.
Good.
Good. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2010-033. This is a bid for the purchase of furniture for the Tarrant County Credit Union at the Plaza Building. A recommendation will be toward a per-enterprise basis, awarding certain sections to Wilson Project, Boyer and Schutz, and the Spencer Company. We did receive 4 bids, one each from Staples, Advantage Supply, Intelligent Solutions, and a company called Facility Incorporated that did not include the addendum. We are recommending rejection of those 4 bids. It altered the entire project. We just really don't need to consider those bids.
So you're planning to redo it?
No, ma'am.
Would you restate what you just said there?
Yes. We received bids from Staples, Advantage Supply, Intelligent Interiors and Facilities Incorporated. They did not include the required addendum, and that was an important addendum. It wasn't just a frivolous document. It changed the entire process, and we don't need to accept the particular.
So you're recommending award to whom?
Wilson Project, Boyer and Schutz, and the Spencer Company.
Move
Which happen to
approval.
be all 3 hub vendors.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We have, I believe, several items under Commissioners and Judge. First, I would like to, move the approval to submit Commissioner Fickus' newsletter to the Texas Association of Counties for a Best Practice Award.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Who seconded that?
Commissioner.
You're actually going to second that?
Sure. Why wouldn't I? There's something I don't know about his newsletter. Does it talk about me in a derogatory way?
You know, we're read that last one?
Roy this month.
And I've already been featured, so that's where he got his second, his motion. Have you been featured yet?
No, that's the reason I'm voting against it.
Any more questions or?
I appreciate it. It's something we put a lot of effort and take very seriously. So thank you very much.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
I do, and Mr. Reich, are we okay? I move approval of the interlocal agreement with the town of Edgecliff Village, item 8K2, A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus?
I have interlocal agreements, 8K3, A, B, C, D. First one is for the city of Keller, for Bear Creek, and the second one's for the city of Southlake for North Carroll. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I move approval of item 8K4, A and B. It's an agreement with the city of Fort Worth for the reconstruction of Butterfield Stage Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Appointments?
Yes, Your Honor, I have an appointment that has finally been approved through the background checking apparatus. Took about 6 weeks.
Child Protective Services.
Child Protective Services, Ms. Karen Ann Lovett.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Maynes?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one item for you this morning. This concerns the monthly update from the hospital district. Mr. Early is here to address the Court at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Maynes. Judge, members of the Court. You look very dapper today, Judge.
Thank you.
Want to make mention of a couple of things. Mr. Maynes is providing you a handout, and in that handout is 2 things. One was a document that Congressman Henry Cuellar made of Congressman Waxman to the impact of Medicaid and Medicare dollars to the state of Texas through the health care bill. And I really wanted you to have that just so you got a variance for what we're all trying to predict. Even Congressman Waxman, who is obviously chairman of the committee that dealt with the bill more than anyone else, has a hard time predicting the impact to Texas. And we in a hospital district and you as county commissioners are going to be asked, what's the impact? It's very hard at this point to determine the impact. The other thing that I provided you is probably the best document that I've found for some of the trigger dates of the bill. This bill is a little bit different than anything else we've seen legislatively coming out of Washington or the state because it has numerous trigger dates to when it takes effect. And you see in there that some of it takes effect in 2010. It all goes to 2019 for various levels of triggers. And some of those triggers of the enactment are going to be based on whether tax bills are passed and changed for the revenue side of it. So I wanted you to have that. Those are reference guides for you all just to get an idea of what some of the congressional budget estimates to the impact of Texas would be, and also what the impact of the dates and those changes. We will try our best to continue to brief you on that. I did get a nice complimentary phone call from Commissioner Tom Cease, our Commissioner of Health and Human Services, asking JPS to provide the Health and Human Services a impact to community and public hospitals, which we were proud to do, which we're in the midst of doing right now. So it was a nice situation. Also wanted to let you know that our health promotions team is doing a fantastic job of going out into the community, but we're also going internally with some of our programs. We started the JPS Spring Walk program, and with some of the presentations and awards that you all have seen through Public Health and others, we had our first Spring Walk in Arlington, where we came out and we had our employees take 20 minutes off work and walk the facilities to get out and work for better health. Our attitude is we have to be healthy internally to provide good health to our patients. And we provide blood pressure checks and try to get people on walking programs. And we've started that, and we'll start that throughout the whole organization. Also wanted to let you know that JPS is proud to have dedicated an effort to a medical school. We take that very seriously in our efforts to collaborate with UNT Health Science Center in their efforts to bring a medical school here. Our board sought to seek approval of $2.5 million to help with that effort. That's based on two factors. One, it will be voted on by this board in the next budget cycle, which will start in October. One board can't obligate another in its budget cycle. But with the new board or any board members coming in October, that will be part of the budget. And the second aspect is that it has to be approved through the legislative process. And I think those are caveats you're going to get from probably any other hospital. Some of the constraints that some of the private hospitals have may not be quite the ways ours is in the budget. But wanted to indicate our strength and support for UNT Health Science Center and our continued support for their effort to do that. And I have been on record and will continue to be on record that a medical school coming to Tarrant County is a positive thing, and it will certainly help your public hospital.
Absolutely, and thank you for your willingness to be a good community citizen on that, because the future ability of JPS to accomplish its mission is going to be inextricably tied to UNTs in general and that MD program in particular, not to the exclusion of the DO program.
Right.
We need both in this community, and we need both to be strong and viable.
We have a vibrant residency program, and if you're only creating medical schools, what you're doing in Texas is you're training them to be doctors and shipping them out of state, because that's where they'll stay. As I've told you all before, last year 91% of our residents graduating from our residency program stayed in the area. That's pretty powerful. And that's not only good for our community, it's an economic development tool. The one thing I want, and certainly hope and will fight for vigorously, is that when the medical school does arrive, that we enhance our residency program, because I think that's where JPS in this community can win significantly.
It's pretty clear that the residency spots are the key to this whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
We've got to work with our own resources and with others to make sure that those training opportunities are available.
And since we have the largest residency program, and we train more doctors than anyone else, we're the likely choice of being a great partner to any medical school, particularly UNT Health Science Center with what we have with their program now. So I appreciate your comments. I'm going to be vigorous in that because that will be a significant benefit to the community. Last thing I wanted to tell you is that we have enlisted a group to come and ask you, sit down with you as commissioners and judge about the role that you see the board playing and how much communication you want from them. I know that they have spent time with Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Brooks. They also have on schedule you, Judge, Commissioner Fickus, and Commissioner Van Ravensway to get an idea of what you expect, your expectations of our board, your expectations of me, and get a clear understanding of what that is. And I think that's very helpful for us. We're also doing that with the board, getting their expectations of the board and what they expect from their administration. And we're also doing it through our 3 community councils, our Pastoral Council, our Hispanic Council, or the Salute Council, and our Senior Citizens Council. We're asking community leaders, what do you expect from your public hospital? What do you expect from a CEO? What do you expect from a board? So we're doing that across the board, across different ways. And that's my report. I'm happy to take any questions y'all have.
Any questions? One thing I would like to mention, Commissioner Brooks and I were in D.C. last week with the National Association of Counties. A lot of what we talked about as we went around was the health care reform, the fact that now that it has passed, we've got to implement it. Mm-hmm. And there are 8 different committees that they have already designated as to help in that process. But as I come back home and I talk with folks from MHMR and Public Health, you, and the other agencies that are all nervous and concerned and are communicating through their national associations with regards to what the impact is going to be of this new bill, the reform. I really feel like that we need to convene some sort of a group that will keep us all informed as to what's going on within their particular silo, and hopefully we'll break down a lot of those silos. But Commissioner Brooks was chair of one of the committees at NACO for the health care reform, and more likely than not will probably be chairing that same committee this next year, if not some other stuff. And so, I really hope that we can begin right now to pull everybody together, at least on a monthly or maybe even a bi-monthly basis, to just talk about, what we're hearing, what your particular organization, what Public Health, what MHMR, the veterans, the other hospitals, the doctors, all of these folks are working, and I think if we all had a feel for what they were doing or for particular points that they're concerned about, then as each one of us makes it to D.C. to talk with whomever we're talking with about whatever issue we may be talking about at that point in time, there may be an opportunity to drop ideas or suggestions in some of these other areas. And so I think we really need to kind of bring everybody together, and I may ask, Commissioner Brooks and anybody who's got an interest in that to begin to kind of come together and start regular type meetings so that we can stay on top of this, or at least try to stay on top of this.
What we'll do in particular and how it relates to you is we'll share our briefing. We've broken it down into 4 categories for our briefing for the Commissioner of Health and Human Services. We'll share that report with you all. That will be a little more directed towards public hospitals, but we'll certainly share that with you. The other thing that we've considered is putting together, say, a monthly or every other month webinar that will provide some of the facts that we know, and that might be a smart way to do it, as opposed to convening everybody being in one place, which we're happy to do as well. But that may be a good idea. I think your suggestion is good. I'll follow up with Commissioner Brooks, yourself, and others, because I think that's a good idea to establish a knowledgeable clearinghouse. The one thing I will say is in this health care bill, knowledge is going to be the key. If you're at the table and you're providing your input and you have knowledge of what's happening as opposed to the rumor mill about the positives or devastating effects of it, I've heard it all, I think that will be much more beneficial.
I think Judge's suggestion is a very good one. One of the positions that we have taken at NACO with those 8 committees and advisory groups is that each one of them must include somebody from county government. somewhere across this country. And that is a way for us to provide input into the process, so that if we have a local body that is helping us to synthesize local effects, we can then feed them up the chain and into one of these committees and have a definite impact.
I think that's a wise choice, and be happy to do that, and would love to help you organize it and figure out what we do at a local level.
Okay.
That's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Your Honor, that's all we have at this time.
Okay, we have a meeting, just a kind of an information thing. We have a meeting tomorrow for the civil courts. I believe in some of the planning stages, our courts, our attorney groups are meeting, and judges, and I guess that committee that we appointed on the civil courts. I'm going to try to attend that, and the message I really want to impart is don't slow things down. Just keep it moving, and hopefully get us to the bid stage as rapidly as we can, so that we can hopefully take advantage of some of the the downturn that we've still got coming forth. So any thoughts or comments that you might want to make, be sure and let us know that. We'll go forward with that. Anything else? We'll now recess our open session and proceed to closed session.
You're not having certain kind of food.
We got other plans for lunch, Don.
Well, you don't need kind of food there, sir.
Is it healthy? Oh.
We're live.
Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Having returned from closed session, we'll now address the following matter.
Your Honor, members of the court, we go to the Administrator's Section, Item 8A4. We're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve a lease agreement between Tarrant County and Colonial Savings as it relates to 1812 North Forest Park Boulevard in Fort Worth.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There being no further business, we're adjourned.
That is a colorful document.
Mhm.